Tinubu. What an carry.
Hey, welcome back to the Parrot podcast. Myself, Skills. We got man like Rose.
Yes, the Parrotside Boys, the PBJ Boys. Yeah, we back again, baby.
But this guy in your local government area. Come on.
Can I just say we never agreed to being called the PBJ boys.
Guy, that's your
That's just
business, Jerry.
that's just Rose. We
Rest.
never really agreed to that. But yeah, how you guys doing?
Hey man, yo. Y'all know what the fuck it is, boy. All three of us in primary school, Greenwood House School. If you know that, shout out the whole team. We here do what we're doing the Parasite. We're here to hang out. He's still hanging out. Come hang out with your boys and shit. Yo, so as usual, we have our agenda of the day.
Guy just snuck down waste.
Guys should be more emotional. Whew. So I guess not too long ago we talked about emotional maturity and blah blah blah. But now we'll just talk about just emotions in general, the crying, the laughing, the sad moments, the blah blah blah. Whatever they doing on TikTok and shit. Guys need to do more of it. So, Rose, start us off. What you said. Why do you think guys are not emotional, and why should we be?
Okay, so first of all, I'll just make reference to the Yaz episode. And Yaz said something that it really got me thinking. I mean, at the heat of the moment, I didn't really get the point, but like taking out time to actually listen to the episode again, like it made a lot of sense. Like, and she was like, a lot of times, most guys don't really know their guys. Like, if you want to know about your guy, I mean, there might be rare occasions or there might be few exceptions, but like most guys don't really know their guys in terms of like the emotional side. I mean, yeah, you guys play FIFA, you guys talk about different stuff, but like when it comes to things like feelings and emotions, like it's it's quite different. I know, and she said that like you never really know a guy until like you meet his babe and you like ask about this guy, like how is he and all of that. And to an extent, it's actually true because like how many people actually know their guys? How many times have any one of your guys come to meet you and tell you that, bro, this is how I'm feeling? Like this stuff that I've been experiencing has been making me unhappy, or I just feel upset, and or even in my relationship, bro, like I don't really like the way my girl speaks sometimes, or I'm just not in the best headspace. I know, like, how many times have you guys had your guys come to tell you those things? Most times, you just find that is stuff like, oh, we go run am, or no be anything, or we move, Jerry. All of those slangs, but like, there's never really that time where we sit down and actually discuss about how we are feeling towards each other, and it's actually problematic because, like, you see people. I mean, majority of the people that commit suicide are men. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these men have friends, they have close friends and all. And
Yes.
if you meet a lot of these their friends and you ask them, like, bro, did you know what was going on with your guy? The vast majority of them will tell you no, that they didn't know anything was going on. They thought he was fine. We still played football like a couple of days ago. And all. And like it's just quite alarming that for people who spend that much time together, you don't really know how this person is feeling or what's going on with this person, basically.
Rose spitting, bro. I think I'll give him this one, man. You talking your shit on this one, even though it's not the point isn't original because Yas made it first, of course. But
Guy,
we'll give you
rest,
your
Jerry.
credit.
What's that?
This guy.
Guy,
But
wait.
yeah,
Is that not why I acknowledge Yaz that first? What's this
yeah, I'm
Kamal guy
sure. I
doing, Jerry?
guess.
What
Yeah,
a
relax,
waste.
relax. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's a very good point because even if I look at my own friendship group, I think there's that many of my guys that will come and tell me this is how I feel. Like they may tell you about a situation that happened, but they don't
Yeah.
always say like this is how it made me feel. Maybe last time they say, "Guy, it paid me," but that's about it. Like they don't really go into detail about anything. I have maybe one friend that I can say he's quite maybe emotional or like his heart on his sleeve, and he actually goes into detail about how he's feeling, not just relationships, but even family, friends. Like he's quite in depth with how he talks about himself. And he's
Who,
one of my
Rose?
closest friends. No, it's not Rose. It's not Rose. It's someone
Oh,
else.
okay.
But yeah, like it's even from him that I even became more open about talking about things happening with me as well. So it's quite helpful to have friends that share because when they do share, it makes you feel like you can also share with them instead of just having it closed off. Because what you don't want is a situation where you're you're talking to someone that is meant to be your guy and you're always opening up about things happening with you and how you feel, but then he never reciprocates. So he's like, this guy
Yeah.
can be going through hell and he just doesn't say anything. This
Say
guy can,
anything.
he
Yeah.
can, the guy can get, he can be getting married next week and you don't even know. Like that kind of shit is, it's not,
I
it's
mean, is
not,
that an
It's not
emotional thing
healthy.
or is that just like
it, it's a big event happening in your life. Okay, let's not say married because maybe it's too extreme. But I feel like if you're close friends with someone and
mm,
the guy just got into a relationship, I feel like you should know. I
Yeah.
don't feel like he should be hiding the fact that he's just found a girlfriend because he doesn't and he will say, oh, he's private. I don't buy that shit, bro. I'm sorry, like what you mean if you're private? Like I'm not talking, you guys are casual friends. I mean like if Rose is in
mm,
Like
a
we're very close friends. Yeah.
yeah, you're very close friends. Like if Rose is in a relationship or this Rose if Skills is a relationship tomorrow, I expect Rose to know Skills is in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah.
expect Skills to be hiding the fact that he's in a relationship with Skills. But a lot of guys don't really open up on that level. Even the less emotional things on the more basic note, they don't always do that. So I actually feel Rose on this one. I do think it's quite an issue. Men
I
to be
think, do you know
wondering
what
what
though?
goes by.
No, I agree with that. I think in terms of because I think what you're saying then is then for me, Shai, like it's different. Now don't get me wrong, if you're being overly private too, that's just like okay, well nigga, you're being extra. I know everybody has their own vices, but my thing is like this difference from like being private, like okay, like I have a private life versus like sharing your emotions. If that kind of makes
Mhm.
sense. Like say for example, like okay, money came in, I'm big balling, boom, $2 million house in Ikoyi, for example. Like me personally, I wouldn't like tell people. Like that's just me.
Yeah, I
Like
agree with that. Yeah,
yeah, so for something like
Yeah.
that, yeah, so something like that, I wouldn't now say, oh, like, why is this guy always forming? I wouldn't now look down on that type of guy, you know what I'm saying? But if like, okay, any one of my close brethren, like, say it comes up, I'm like, oh, like, right, by the way, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? So like for the emotional aspect of it though, I think it takes a certain guy friend group. Because like even within guy friend groups, like there are still some guys that no, I hate to quote yes, but like they're not emotionally mature,
why
so
you
they.
hate to quote Yas, bro? Nigga, you give
I
her
don't
her
want to
credit,
sound
bro.
like I'm giving her clips, bro, but like, yeah, but like, so they're not emotionally mature. So like, one guy can be sharing, but then not only would the other guy not share, you would then even look down on that guy like, oh, why is this nigga sharing too much emotion? So I would agree with Rose in terms of within guy friend groups, we should yeah be a bit more open with our emotions. Um, should guys be more emotional in general? Now that one, that for me, that's where it's very debatable. I would also say yes, but only to a certain extent.
What's
Um,
the difference between the two?
I think
Exactly. What's
I
the
think when
difference
you're more
really?
emotional with like your guy friend group, it's like if you're all like a bunch of mature guys, like it's one like say for example, guy is now in like secondary school, right? One guy like maybe his babe broke up with him or whatever is like sharing with his guys or like guys. Let's be honest, because they're in secondary school, the other guys will probably laugh like this guy's a pussy or whatever, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, which
And
is
that's the
bad.
problem, really.
No, agreed.
Yeah.
Now though, if say between the three of us now, for example, say I'm dating a babe and then I got like guy she broke up with me, like you guys wouldn't move like that. You know what I'm saying? Which is great. That's between us, as in us guys. If I'm then moving all like a soppy piglet and then to everybody, for me, that's when it's like, okay, like, don't you feel like there should be like a cap somewhere? Like,
So would you
because
look down on, say if like you, let's say you don't even know the guy. Let's say you just met someone and the guy seems really down, and
uh-huh.
then someone tells you, oh, he's really down because he just his girlfriend just broke up with him. Would you look down on him or look at him different?
I wouldn't look down on him, me personally. But I think what I'm really trying to say is like I don't think society really cares about that in general, like in a general sense. Like I don't know if that kind of makes sense. I don't know. I wouldn't look down on them, of course. But then again, I also won't feel like it's my responsibility to help them if I wasn't close to them to a certain extent.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. But like you always say, are we here to challenge society, or how the
So,
fuck you say it?
yeah,
What is it?
society, bro.
It's a
That's what I
Society.
was gonna
society.
say. Is again now not to make it too political. However, and I did say this in the Ubani episode, I was like, see, man, guys should be more emotional for facts. 100% agreed. Because bottling up too much. However, there's a certain extent. I feel like when it comes to like say like dealing with babes now, for example, I feel like you shouldn't be more emotional because that's when you get that reflection of society of like, right, society really don't give a fuck about you. You know what I'm saying? Yes, guys commit suicide and like it's a terrible feeling, especially if you're close to that person or if you know if it's a friend of a friend. In a general sense, though, like society, like the sun gonna rise the next day. You know what I'm saying? And that's where my problem is. Like, because babes, for example, they'll be like, oh, a guy that's more in tune with his emotions and blah 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 blah. But they don't want them niggas. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
Mm,
I
that's a
mean,
big
I think
generalization, Sha.
yeah, I mean, it's a generalization that I know where he gets it from, though. Like, I think there's enough evidence to say women don't want overly emotional guys. But that is that line that we're talking about. No one knows what the fucking line is. Like, are we
Exactly.
saying you
Yeah.
don't want to?
Facts.
Because you want a hard guy that is just okay. I'm gonna handle my business and anything to do with me, I'll never share. I don't think they want that necessarily. But then I don't think they want the other extreme where like the nigga is always complaining about shit that's happening to him. So I guess the line is somewhere in the middle where he handles some of the
Yeah.
shit, but then it's like really bothering him. He shares with that. I don't think it's too difficult to do. I feel.
Yeah. Do
To
you
be
know what?
honest.
That's actually the next thing I was going to say. I don't actually know if I would agree with that. Because if you want to link it to where does it come from? Like why do guys not really show emotion like that? So like kind of like okay, like even like again in the last episode, yes, when it was like, oh, okay, like even saying things like I love you, so like if like we're not brought up to be like emotional in general, especially like between all of us, right? So it's like it is going to be hard to just suddenly start sharing emotion. Like you will feel vulnerable, won't you think?
I
I
guess
So
think you
so.
have to start somewhere.
you have to start somewhere, yeah, but like I feel like it's harder than a lot of people would think.
Yeah,
It's
that's I
hard.
agree. I agree with you, skills, because just like you said, I mean, for most of us, we've grown up in like a home that abides by the usual societal norms where okay they view that the man as like the provider, as someone that must always be out of touch with his emotions because like in quotes they say he's a logical being, so he must always be like at that forefront of stuff. I know. And because like that expectation has been placed upon you, especially from a young age growing up, like being in that situation where you now see people expressing, you now see fellow men expressing emotions, or you too, you're being encouraged to express your emotions. Like it almost feels like something that's out of like the norm for you.
Yeah,
So
100%.
like, and it's definitely difficult. It's not an easy thing to really adapt to. So
Mm.
it's understandable, Sha. But then at the same time, like you have to take response, and that's another thing that Yaz said too in the episode that like the moment you come to the realization of these things, the onus is now on you to make an a conscious effort to actually do these things because like to be honest, all of these hard guy, all of these concealing of emotions, it doesn't help any one of us. It doesn't help us, neither does it help like the people that we call our friends, or even the people that we are dating as well, because we just keep bottling things up and like, I mean, keeping all that hurting and not being able to express yourself, not being able to like cry or groan or something like that. Like, it's not convenient, honestly.
Okay, let me ask you this then. So say, okay, so say you're a guy, right? And then, let's say you're emotionally neutral for the most part. Then you get into a relationship, uh, I guess realistically in your earlier years, right? And then like you hear this whole be more emotional and whatever, whatever, and then say you cry, to your babe this one time or whatever, whatever, and then now she's like put off, you know, um, because like you showed that you was weak sauce. So where do you now go from there? Because now that experience has been like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be more emotional in certain times. Like, where do you then go from there?
But the thing is, the same way like we've been conditioned to not really be emotional is also the same way that those babes as well would have been conditioned to not see men as being emotional.
Aha, okay, I see
So
your point on
like
that. Yeah,
It's spitting, bro.
hey,
is
spin,
definitely a
bro.
bit is a problem for both genders. So like
Mm,
it's just a matter of finding that place where like both parties can actually, I don't know how to put it, like just meet each other halfway, because I mean these are part of the things that we've all learned and everything. So it will take a conscious effort for us to shake off those mentalities and to be able to accept and understand that like, look, being emotional is not based on what gender you are, but it's a human thing. We all have emotions.
mm.
Nobody was created with more emotions than the other person. Like, we're all emotional beings, so we can't afford to separate people and say that, oh, because you're a man you should show less, or because you're a woman you should show more, basically.
I mean, I'll definitely agree. I mean, I think it's also very layered, man, and I think like that's just I don't know, man. Like I definitely agree that more needs to be done for men, though. Like for sure, and that's why I brought up the societal thing. It's like if you're in like some gathering somewhere, wherever, like, and you see a girl crying alone. I'm saying, like, before 2 minutes, like niggas is already on her, like both guys and girls, like, oh, what's wrong, what's wrong. But if it's a guy, like the vibe is always going to be weird. Like, it's not society doesn't come and like give you a shoulder for guys the way it does to women. Is how I see it. But I definitely agree with you. Like, there needs to
You
be
know what?
more
Actually,
done.
let's actually visualize that scenario. Do you think if you're in a public space
Mm-hmm.
crying as a guy, that people wouldn't come and ask us what's wrong?
No lie, so I was in Chicago this one time on the subway. This guy was crying on the fucking, well, it's not subways, I guess it's more on land train. This guy was crying on the fucking train, and like, now again, just to add context, he did look, I don't know, I don't wanna, he did look like he might have been homeless. I don't know, what I'm saying, but he definitely was crying. And like, bro, like, niggas was just looking at him. I was like, I didn't even know.
But
I
I
was
think
like,
you've already explained why that was though.
should it matter though? If it was a girl
Yeah,
that looked like she was homeless, would it be the same vibe?
yeah, I do think so. Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't.
in in
Me
in the
personally, yeah.
UK, I would say for the UK, I do think so.
Yeah, but UK homeless people
Yeah,
look
in the
like
UK niggas don't
scraps.
care about each other, bro.
Niggas don't send, bro. If
Guy,
UK look
you could be
homeless,
crying
honestly,
your
like
life out, you could be bleeding to death. These niggas will
yeah,
carry their bag and pass you by.
yeah, no one fucking cares, bro. Niggas is rushing on the subway, bro. No one is looking like,
They'll not do
oh, this guy,
that
no one even,
smile stuff that they always do with their lips.
yeah, maybe they'll drop like a fucking coin or something. Like niggas don't care. I'm like,
A coin. That's bad.
yeah, but actually, like, I don't,
That's actually funny. That's actually funny. Today, like, so I finished from an interview and I wanted to go get something for my mom. And like this babe, she was, how in the UK now they always have like these people who are trying to like get people to donate for people that have like cancer and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And like they always stay by the city center now. They approach different people and all. And like she just came to meet me. She was speaking, and then I stopped to listen to her. And she now asked me if I was a local, and I told her no. She asked me where I was from, and now she said I was Nigerian. She now said, "Ah, no wonder I'm very nice." And like when she said that, like
Oh.
it just it just sums up exactly what Kamal said. Like these people, they don't these UK guys, they don't care, man. Like they see you, they pass you by, they are not concerned about whatever is going on with you, man.
Mm. Yeah, but like just to go back to what skill set, I do think if a guy like would have taken away the whole looking homeless thing, if he was crying in space, I do think people,
Do you
I
feel
think
like
society has improved in that sense.
society as well?
I think it has improved in that sense.
Okay, I mean, I hear that. I hear that. I mean, I guess there are only so many ways I would be able to know, but it's possible that society has improved. You know, I just don't really see like that
There's,
strong
there's
emotional support for guys. But
there's like other things that I don't think like guys would get help with. Like if your car breaks down, I don't necessarily think people are gonna stop and help you out the way they would the woman. Like
yeah,
I do believe that.
true,
Yeah.
true,
But
true,
I
true.
do think like if you look like you're breaking down or something, and I think the same person that would stop to help a girl will probably stop to help a guy. Especially if it's a guy, because women may not necessarily do it just because safety. What you don't know what's really going on. Guy is always very
Mm.
safe. But I do think a guy that would stop to help a woman would stop to help the same guy. I think that's how I feel.
But yeah, nah, I hear that. I hear that. Nah, it's fair points, man. Fair points. That's like just what I think. She's like, yeah, definitely. Like, guys should be more emotional. But for me, I think the other part is like, if you're not conditioned to be that, like, it's really just going to be tough to like start, man. Like,
I want to go
it's
back to
just
Yeah,
what
that's why like you have to you have to make
yeah,
it an intentional effort, basically.
yeah, yeah.
Because obviously it's not going to be an easy thing to do. But like it's only when you put in that effort and all that, that's the only way you'll be able to like unlearn some of these things.
so
Mm,
like
first.
there's different ways to look at it because I remember so my family, for example, I think we said this before, we're not emotional people. So
Mm,
I was talking to my sister-in-law, and and she was explaining to me that if you're, how guys go to the gym to build muscle, working on your body, going over like months and years or whatever to get whatever body you may get. She was
mhm.
saying it's kind of the same thing when it comes to emotion. Like you don't just wake up and suddenly know how to have emotions or how to be
Yeah.
bored. Something you have to keep working on and keep building.
That's a bit
And
of a
I
tough
don't
one
think
though, because how do you know what's a smaller weight, so to say, emotionally, as opposed to like,
Oh, I guess that's on you to decide, isn't it? Like it could start
Yeah.
from instead of okay, you just come out and say, "Yo, I was depressed in 2020." Like you may not go all the way there, but you
yeah.
might start and be like, yesterday I was feeling a bit down. I don't know, my fucking cat died or something. I don't know. Just something small that it's easier to say, and then from there maybe you get more comfortable sharing things like that, and then over time, you can go up to the bigger things. I think that's more of a logical way to. But also Rose,
Yeah.
you've been in a relationship for how long has it been now? Maybe a year, over a year now, isn't it? So
Yeah.
how how have you changed from before you were in the relationship to now?
I don't think I've changed actually. I think I've still been my same self. I know I'm a very emotional person. So I don't think I've changed. I mean, if you ask my babe, like from when we started dating up until now, like I can guarantee you that she'll tell you that I'm the same person, like in terms of my emotions and how in tune I am with them, in terms of my communication when something is wrong and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't
Would you
think
say
I've
you're
changed.
comfortable sharing emotion too? Okay, actually a different question, right? Actually, you can add that
Yeah.
question to it. Are you as comfortable sharing like emotional things with your babe or with girls in general, female friends, you can add to that, as you are with like your male friends?
Mm, actually, yeah, I would say yes. I believe so. Yeah.
Hmm.
it's easier. I don't know. It's almost like it's easier to just say that, oh yeah, this is how I was feeling. This is what happened that made me feel this way. But then like with my guys and everything, like you know, and like I said, it's all as a result of this societal conditioning. Like it's quite difficult to exhibit some level of emotion towards them because and
Mm.
the funny thing is I'm not even sure whether it's a thing of having this perception that they might feel somehow for me mentioning it. I believe is one of the things, Sha, because like you definitely if your guy just came and said, ah, bro, my heart is heavy, like I'm really not enjoying what's going on in my relationship, like there's a way you express it that shows that like you're really hurting compared to like if you say my babe she just dey vex me abeg I no even sabi wetin dey do wetin she dey do I know.
Mm.
So like you can see there's a stark difference in those two means of communication, and I think that that's part of where the problem is. So like because we feel our guys might not really be able to connect on that level of emotion, there's this tendency for us to dampen this thing. Come on, you waste. There's this tendency for us to dampen like those emotional aspects and all, and like it shouldn't be so, honestly.
You're saying like you change the words depending on. It's not even just the words actually, because I think that's even downplaying saying the words. Because
Yeah,
saying my
exactly.
heart is heavy
Mm.
and I'm really down and saying this girl just affects me. It's more than phrasing, isn't it? It's also like
Mm.
you're changing the kind of emotion you're feeling. Whereas one
Yeah,
is you're sad and upset. The other one is like, oh, I'm angry because she's moving funny.
yeah,
So instead of
exactly.
them looking at you like you're this emotional person complaining about what your baby's doing to you, they'd be like, "Oh, your baby's fucking up. Like, guy, you need to do this or do that." It's actually very interesting, even the way you phrase that, because it's not something I would have thought of before. But it's actually
Mm.
something I would, even if I was in this situation, I don't really see myself going to my guy and being like, "Yo, I think my
Yeah,
heart is heavy." Like, I don't really see that happening. But like
Yeah,
yeah.
actually,
I
that's
mean,
a very good
nigga
point.
ain't
That's a
telling
very good
nobody's telling
example.
skills that bro. Yeah, I'm sad, man.
Why?
I
Why
don't.
not? Sorry.
Skills guy say, no be there. No tap FIFA now. No tap FIFA.
Hey, I'm not a dickhead like that. Fam.
Skills, do people come to you for emotional advice?
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Cap. We are capping. Full cap with
Wait, hold on,
Agbada.
hold on, hold on, hold on. Coming to me for emotional advice versus like telling me about their emotions. Yeah, they tell me, yeah, like of course they tell me about their emotions. Like I listen.
Cap
I'm
guy.
not a
We are
fucking dickhead.
capping.
I mean sometimes, don't get me wrong, because I'm a comedian and shit. Sometimes I do have trouble differentiating when okay, let's make jokes versus like, oh no, this is serious. Once I clock it's a serious thing on facts, like I'm like, okay, like I'm here, bro. Just like I'ma listen. Just say your piece. Say your piece. You know what I'm saying? Ask my guys, Rose, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, yeah. Actually, which brings me to my next point is like that whole vibe of like creating a safe space. I think that's also very is also very important because when like you just said, if like you brought it up in like a nonchalant type manner, "Ah, guy, this my babe day. If you see how
Yeah.
they react to it and it's very like, eh, why you for like why you from guy buff up now? That's not a safe space. So you even want to take it past a certain level of like, okay, this guy is obviously not somebody that I can take my emotions to. You know what I'm saying? So like even within certain groups, like if there's 5 guys in a friend group, like you would know like who you're going to go to with certain things. So yeah, nah,
Yeah. That's
rose
facts.
pain, man. Rose pain. Yeah,
I
it's
feel
facts, it's
like
facts.
you two waste men over here. When I came to you guys for advice, you guys started attacking
Nigga,
me
you didn't come to us
twice.
for advice.
Twice. I came to these
Come on,
niggas
I'll
for
be
advice
honest. I
twice,
didn't
and
actually
these
know that
niggas
it was
started
that serious.
attacking.
I wouldn't like to see for that.
Kamal guy did not come to us for advice,
Let's
Joe.
not expose the guy. But if you know,
Rose is still saying I didn't come for advice, bro.
you
I
Guy, you didn't
changed
come
these
for
niggas
advice.
advice
You didn't
twice.
expressly say,
These niggas-
what should I do?
And that's literally, nigga, we have the text.
he did say, "What should I do?" Like he did
That's-
ask.
Are
But
you serious?
for those
Say
listening,
that.
if you know what he asked for advice on, you would think it's a joke, man. That's why we reacted like that. that's
Yeah,
that's
Nah,
why
bro.
we're like, guy, fuck
Nah,
off.
these niggas just say shit. That's what these niggas do. I ain't coming to you niggas again. So you guys didn't create a safe space. So you guys take your own advice, man.
I mean, hey man, you know, we live and we learn. You know, like Rose said, it's on both sides. Now we know that those are the type of things you want advice on. Hey, no worries, we come back next time. No worries. I'll say. Well, last thing I want to add. You say what?
Wait. Before you guy already saying last thing, guy, we have not dissected your emotional capabilities yet. Hold on. So skills.
Whoa. What do you
So
mean?
you're not overly emotional, are you? So
I don't think so. No.
do you feel like you should be, or do you feel like, not even do you feel like, do you plan on making steps to be more in tune with your emotion and sharing more?
Yeah, man. I mean, like with towards the end of last year and then this year, like I definitely was like, yeah, you know, honestly, I probably should. Like, it's probably good for me, to be honest. Like, yeah, you know, like Rose said, like just like any other
it's
typical
cap.
guy.
This guy be fighting with all our female guests.
Alright, cool. That didn't last long. Hey, man. Nah,
Hey,
but some real shit. No, fighting with the female guests don't mean nothing, though.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah,
So
nah, in general, huh?
have you said you should feel like you should, so have you done anything?
I mean, like I try, but honestly, it's hard. Like, you know, like because it's like that's why I was saying it before. Like, if it's not you, like it's really difficult sometimes. Like, just pull it out of yourself. Like it feels really weird. Like it just does. Like it's not like you, and that's
Yeah,
the
I feel you on that.
yeah. And that's the next thing I was going to say too. Was like I think for the other people, you know, I guess from a reception perspective, is like give allowances to people who are not normally emotional because like it's just not them. So like to then suddenly then draw a line of like, oh no, you have to be this emotional because that's what normal human beings do. Like it's just unrealistic. Like literally even last year, like I was on the phone with like some family members, like my mom was in the group call, and like my auntie was there, and at the end of the call, she was like, "Oh, love you," and like I froze up. I was like,
Why is Kamal guy even laughing? When Yas said I love you, did you say it back?
exactly. We have it live on the pod.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, but she already knows, guy. I don't even know.
Guy, cap.
Man. Guy,
What's
it's not
that?
about me.
What do you mean she already knows? Guy, say it back.
Guys, she says it all the time, though.
Honestly, you should have said it back. Like you could have just
Yeah,
said
exactly.
it back. Like it's
Exactly. Could have just said it back.
Guy, do you know what the problem is? It's when they put you on the spots. It's like, bro, it's not something you normally
but it's
say.
always going to be on the spot though, because you're never going to expect it. And it's like, okay, boom, now I've
No,
said
but
it,
I'm
now say
saying
it
like
back.
I'm literally saying like she says it all the time. Like it's not like this is not the first time, second time, fifth time. Like she says it
And
all the
you
time.
never respond.
I don't really know. Like
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not even trying to say like I ain't ducking you. I feel you. That's what I'm saying. Because like it's just like it's hard to really like pull that out. You know what I'm saying? And like that's what like that's just our upbringing. Realistically, you know, Popsy never says this. You can't suddenly expect me to just be like, oh, all love you. Like that's not who I am. You know what I'm saying? So like there needs to be like a certain tolerance of like stuff like that. How you receive love also goes into like that emotional aspect. So like even if you're in a relationship, you know, I guess there are certain things that your partner would expect from you on an emotional level. Me personally, if she goes out and she's like, "Oh, I'm already out. Do you want me to buy spaghetti or something?" In my mind, I'm like, she loved me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not pressed. But this so the threshold and the skill is different for everyone, man. So yeah.
that's funny enough. That's what I was gonna ask you next. Because obviously initially we were talking about like a friendship thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in a relationship context, how if you say you're not overly emotional as a person, you're talking about giving a certain level of allowance. As
Mm-hmm.
as your girlfriend, at what point do I be like, nah, this nigga? Because you know, a lot of people, a lot of girls, they need words of affirmation and things like that to feel
Yeah,
like.
facts. You're spinning. Yeah.
So if you're not that kind of person, how do you then make yourself be more emotional, or do you feel like you have to?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because then a different argument of like, well, okay, one, that's not you. You didn't force yourself to be somebody different, and then two, again, on their side, how willing are they to either A, take you as you are, or B, try to wait on you to make certain adjustments. Like, it's really layered. So like, I really don't know. On some level, I would agree that certain things, okay, like the fucking words of affirmation, for example, stuff like that. Like, if that's how they feel loved, then that makes sense on a general scale because that's in quotes what normal people do. But you're not on them vibes, you know what I'm saying? So how long should she then allow that tolerance? Honestly, I don't know. I guess it just depends on her.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, like, would it be fair for her to then say, "Oh, this guy doesn't like me because
But
I'm
it's
doing
tough. That's also tough because like yeah, it goes both ways, man. Because even when she's doing things that appears that is normal to her, for me, like it's like, or I guess for the typical guy, it's like, oh, like why is she smothering me? It's not necessarily smothering you. You're just not used to like receiving love in that regard.
In
I
that
don't know.
manner, yeah.
Yeah, like that's also something I actually thought back recently. I was like, huh, do you know what? That was probably normal, but I wasn't feeling it. And I said, because I'm not just used to that. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
because
saying?
obviously we come from families that don't necessarily do that and show love in that way, especially
Mm.
not that openly. So if like you start dating someone and they're all over you and shit, like, yo, this is a bit weird. Like, yo,
Yeah.
doing too much. Like, yo, I need my space. But
Yeah,
like you
facts,
said,
facts.
realistically, it's kind of normal, but you're just not used to it. But then I've also told myself in that situation that maybe I just don't like the person enough. So maybe that's why I feel that way.
But you know what? Is
So
that ever going to be the answer though? Because like even if you,
Yeah.
let's even if you're head over heels over about the person, like wouldn't there still be, like you wouldn't now suddenly change, don't you think?
no, I've been told. So this is the thing, like, um, I know I have friends who are kind of similar in that sense, who are not overly emotional. They don't want to be smothered by a girl or whatever. Like that's let's just
Mhm.
use that word for something better. So they don't want to be smothered in that way. But then when they do find that one person that they really like, they tell me like, yo, like just everything's just different. Like they want to talk to them all the time, around them all the time, and like, isn't this the same man that was telling me da last year? Like, so I'm in my mind, I'm thinking that it may be just a case that you haven't found that person that you're comfortable enough with to always want to be around. And then when you do, these words that you're struggling to say today, they just come easier and more naturally when it's someone you want to say them to, as opposed to saying them because you feel like you have to. And I think what's happened is
Fairs, fairs, yeah.
maybe in past
Mm.
relationships, you know what's normal and what's not considered normal. And you try so hard to do what's normal. But because you don't like that person enough, what's normal isn't coming naturally to you. So maybe, in the future, you do find something natural and you
Mm.
that's how
Nah,
like
nah, you spitting. I hear that, hear that. Yeah, I mean it's on both sides, I guess, Um, yeah, nah, I feel you though. I feel you. What about you, though, Kamal? How are you in tune with your emotions? Do you feel like you should share more?
more. I think I don't really have issues sharing that because I share a lot in
But
my right to begin with. No, I really don't. Like if you read, it's because you niggas don't read my shit. If you read my shit, you would know that I
Oh, wait,
do
okay.
share.
Do you feel like is that you sharing though? Like you putting
Yeah,
your
it is.
your feelings in art form?
Uh-huh.
Does that do it for you? Like, is that you expressing your emotions, or like is
Yeah,
it the
it's a
same as
form of
talking to someone?
okay. I'll be real now. This is my beef with talking to people.
Hmm.
I don't always feel like, guy, this is gonna be fucked up to say, man.
Now I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm gonna let you say it.
Wait, what do you think I'm gonna say before I say it?
I
Just think
think
about
what
it.
you're about to say is you don't really feel like they can help, or like it doesn't really. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's
Like
I
they're not
feel
gonna
like
do much about it anyways.
I always get advice that I already know type thing. So if like I'm
Hmm.
going through something and you just give me one or two lines about how it's gonna be okay, that does nothing to me. Sorry,
Yeah.
like it does.
Yeah,
So
but
at
sometimes
this
it's
time,
not really
that's what I
it's not
said.
really about what the advice can do. It's just
It's
about
about
like someone
you.
actually being there for you
Okay,
But
in
so
Rose,
that
that thing is
moment.
tough, man. Rose is still
let me
tough.
expand on this, right? I had a I had a discussion with one of my friends about this because I felt like whenever I spoke to them about things going on, it was never taking, I don't want to say taken seriously, but like not enough attention was paid to it. So I don't think if I'm going through something, right, and I tell you, if you drop me one line, I don't feel like that does it. Like, and I feel like that's what I've gotten about.
Yeah.
So you kind of reach a stage where you just don't feel it's worth sharing with anyone. One, if they don't take it seriously enough, then you feel, is this person really my friend? etc. Like they really care about me, take this seriously. And then two, if like what they do say is just one casual line that you can see about anything, then does that really help me?
And that's
So
exactly.
the outcome from that is like, okay, what's the point of sharing? Because it doesn't make it better. It kind of makes, that's kind of the conclusion I've gotten to.
And I feel you on that literally because when you're coming from a perspective of like, oh, you're not very emotional. It's like, okay, you know what? Let me try and be emotional. Like the first thing you're going to do is like think logically about it, right? And like that's the thing because like say even last year, like I was having some issues where it's like, okay, like nobody really here can help me. The only person that can affect this situation is like, so me telling you is going to do fuck all because what you're going to say that's going to
But then
actually help
see,
the
that's
situation.
that's the thing. Like sometimes like it's not really about them offering you advice that can help change your situation. Sometimes you just
Mhm.
need someone that will just listen
Okay, and I'm
and
glad you brought
all.
that up. But what I'm saying is like even like, but I don't think that really on some level I also feel like that might not really help because like okay, well I
But
already
then
know what the
again,
situation
when you
is.
now if you now tell somebody and they decide not to say anything, you people will now say, ah, these guys don't care about me or
That's
something like
fine.
that.
That's fair. But they are just but don't you also agree like on the flip side, like there are also like some situations where like there's nothing you can't say. Like what are you supposed like there's nothing you can't say that would help. You know what I'm saying? Like so like
I
for me,
saying. It's not
you say what?
always okay. I think what Rose is trying to say is that it's not like every time you share your issues with someone, they're gonna give you a solution and it's gonna be that
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah,
solve.
agreed.
That's not
Like
necessarily
like
what it is.
sometimes you
I
just
think
like they're just there
sometimes
to
you just need
get you out.
you just need to vent
Yeah.
something and you need someone to vent to and someone that will actually listen and care about what you're talking about. Just kind of like validate how you feel type
Does that
thing.
help
So
you from a venting
I think it
perspective
does.
though?
I think
It
Does it
does.
actually?
It
it 100%
does.
Hmm.
does.
Sometimes all
Some
people just
certain
want is someone
some
that
people,
listens.
the right people, with the right people, it does.
Okay, the right people. Okay, then I hear that. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
that's
this
fine.
that's what I say. Like when I was talking about my own experiences, like a lot of times it is maybe you just chose the wrong person for that particular issue because some
Hmm.
people are better at other things than.
Yeah, facts. That's what we said. Yeah, facts.
So,
100%.
if you go to the wrong person and you're trying to talk about a certain thing, just not, maybe they don't have the time or they're not even that in tune with emotional things enough to even give you a solid platform to vent out issues, then you're gonna have problems there. But if you do talk to someone that is more capable of listening, and even if they can't give you advice, just being able to validate how you feel, you come out of that conversation feeling better. Because sometimes you're upset about something and you're
Hmm.
trying to talk yourself out of being upset about it because you're like, it's a small issue. Why am I vexed about this? Should I really be? But then you talk to someone and like, no, 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 that actually makes sense. So then it does help in a way because you're like, okay, so I'm not just tripping out in this sense. Like I'm actually like this is actually quite fucked up what happened. And
Yeah.
Yes, that process of venting and letting it out, though, that's also that's a heated process, man. Because if you've kept it down and then okay, now you finally talk to somebody, like you bringing it up again after you've kept it down, like is it going to like vex you all over again or like make you sad all
it
over
would,
again?
yeah. Because I've spoken to one of my friends. They were 1 year removed from a relationship and they never spoke to me about it. And
Uh huh.
then so actually, this is really kind of interesting. The person said they didn't talk to me about it because if they spoke to me at the time, I would
Hmm.
have told them. what they were doing wrong and they didn't want to hear it at the time because they were just too into what they were doing, which I found very interesting.
Mm.
Besides that, like when the person was narrating the story again, you could hear the emotion. Like it
In the
was
boy,
very,
yeah, like
it was like it just happened. You know, it was very much still bothering them a year later. So that I mean, I think like 3 4 years removed, maybe you might not talk about it to the same venom. But like some issues are so deep that when you talk about them a while later, it still hurts you.
mm. Yeah, no, facts, facts. Yo, we spitting today, no lie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts.
I hear that one too. I want to ask a question though. This I'm not very familiar with a lot of Andrew Tate's work, but there was one thing he said that like I heard before was like, which then makes me to my next question, like where do we then draw the line? So if we're saying men need to be more emotional, is there a line where it's like, okay, this is too emotional? Because that's going to be a hard line to draw. Because he was saying that what you don't want is emotionally weak men, in excess in society, because the people that commit things like school shootings, rape, murder, like those men are emotionally weak. So like, I don't know, and I thought about it. I was like, I don't know, but I can kind of see to a certain extent that like if you're doing a school shooting, you probably don't have a grasp on your emotion. So like, how do we, I guess, stop that, you know, unlikely possibility?
Well, for me, I think it comes back to why men aren't that emotional to begin with. I don't think a lot of men know how to handle emotions.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
do think like, if whether it's heartbreak, whether it's anger, whatever it is, they just tend to act out. Like I don't really think I think women, for whatever reason, you can call them emotional, you can call them whatever you want to call them. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's the stereotype that you break up with a woman, she fucks up your car. There's that. But like, or she deletes your fucking career mode or whatever game you're playing. But it's something mild. It's not
FUT.
really anything. Yeah, FUT account. It's something kind of chill. But guys, when guys are in that state, they do tend to either be violent or it's more threatening in a way. And I just don't think a lot of guys are taught how to handle emotions because you're told not to be emotional to begin with. So how the fuck are you ever gonna learn how to handle it if you're not meant to be that? So I do think that's why you do get in these situations where guys are having these overall emotions and they don't know what to do with it. So either they commit suicide, they shoot up a school, whatever extreme example you want to use. They just find this extreme form of letting it out instead of talking
Mm.
to some therapy or whatever healthier means of communication or catharsis you want to use. Just don't.
I don't know. I mean, I've also seen, I mean, like you said, bashing your car or like damaging your car. I mean, I've heard stories of like women doing stuff. But I guess to be fair though, it's never really to an excessive level of like rape or like school shooting. So like, yeah, but I mean, I guess emotions in general could make people violent. Um, but yeah, nah, fair point. I feel.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up the thing, Rose, what you saying from?
Well, I mean, I pretty much agree with what Kamal has said, and like the societal conditioning hasn't really done us a lot of good. And although, like, I mean, these days people are becoming more in tune. A lot of men are becoming more in tune with their emotions. And shout out to Temidayo, because he started an initiative. I think it's called the Man Up Initiative and all. And like things like that are very important for like guys to just come out and just be able to. I think the first and the most important thing is to be able to just create that safe space where you feel like, okay, look, these guys are
Facts.
not going to be judgmental. These guys understand that, like, okay, this is how I felt in the past, or this is how I'm currently feeling, and they're willing to listen to me speak about my feelings and all. Like, I don't have to bottle what I'm feeling inside. So like these kind of things, they are very, very important, so that like we're not just revolving around in the same cycle whereby we we as men we eventually grow up and then we give birth to children too in this same cycle of lack of being in tune with their emotions and all of that. Like it really doesn't make sense, honestly. Like everybody deserves a chance to just have people that listen to them, make them feel loved, make them feel wanted, and not just feel like, oh, you're just another cog in the machine, basically.
Rose, I have one more
So,
question for you. Oh yeah, sorry, come on, go ahead.
no, ask your question. What is the question to you?
So let's say on the flip side, right? Because like, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. To be honest, so like, say somebody is having a problem, they're depressed for a particular reason. You give them a shoulder, you hear them out, you validate their feelings, and then now they feel better.
Mhm.
Let's now see the situation gets worse, so you do the same thing, and then situation gets worse again. Where like, cause, and that's where I would come in from the logical perspective of like, that's why I'm like, okay, can we find this solution? But there are some things that you just wouldn't find the solution for. So like, where, cause if you're giving the shoulder, but then the situation keeps getting worse, like, where do we go from there? Then like, I don't. Is the
But
person
then
now?
the thing is that like whatever the circumstances is, that's out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
You are just trying to be there for someone who's going through something. Like
Mm,
just like I mentioned earlier, sometimes it's not really about preferring that advice or telling them what to do. Sometimes it's just about someone that will just listen to them in
mm,
that particular situation. That's what could just make the difference. I know because you that is providing the emotional support or just trying to be there, like you don't have any control. Like in a situation where you don't have any control of the circumstances, like there's nothing much you can do as well than
mm.
to just be there for your friend pretty much.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that too. I mean, you also mentioned something about your parents and etc. I mean,
Mm,
we've spoken about conditioning for a long time here, and I think a lot of conditioning starts from home. So, like,
Yeah.
if you're parents, how would you raise your kids any differently from how you were raised, or how would you raise your kids to, or your male kids specifically, to be more in tune with their emotion and not be as emotionally inept, but actually inept, emotionally inept as a lot of men.
I mean, I guess it's all about creating that safe space, isn't it?
Yes. How do you create the safe space then? Is what I'm asking.
I mean, well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess because, yeah, I don't know, man. Because, like, if you're not necessarily in that vibe, I mean, let's face it. I mean, we're not, it's not like we're children, what, in our 20s, you know what I'm saying? Before the next, how many couple of years, Rose will probably marry. So, like, it's the way we pretty much are now. That's how we're going to go into, like, the rest of our lives, at least to a certain extent. So, it's like,
Mhm.
if me, for example, I'm not like overly emotional, but I do know that men should be emotional. Like I know it. Like, how do I then create that safe space? Like, it's not something that would naturally come to me. I mean, an obvious thing would be like, okay, telling the kid, or like you love it, you love the fucking kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, that might help, I guess, but like, what really do you do? Because here's the
How much
thing.
of it? Yeah.
It's like, okay, like here you do that. I don't know what the world's going to be in like however many years. And then he goes to school and then he's like, oh, he's then known as the pussy, for example. It's like, what, like, what I'm saying? Like, now what?
I mean, I do
Yeah,
think
well,
there's a
it's
difference
the pussy,
between being
innit?
like, yeah. There's a difference between like being soft, like overly soft, and being in tune with your emotion. Though I would say that, but also I
Yeah.
would like to like explore how much of fathers being work oriented first and foremost before family oriented has to do
Mm,
with like the male kids not knowing how to express emotion in the way they should. Because okay, let's say you have a wife that does more of the home stuff, right? I do
mm,
think the way men and women express emotion is different. And when you're coming to this whole pussy thing, I think a guy expressing emotions the way a woman does is what gets them that kind of reaction. Where you're
mm-hmm,
just being called pussy and you're being overly soft. And I think
mm,
that's more likely to be a byproduct of the mom teaching the guy, the son, how to process emotions. which is instead of the father doing it. But
Mm-hmm.
like if we're gonna let's be real, most of us, like you said, are really conditioned into a certain way. And I do think
Mm.
most of us are gonna be this work oriented fathers before family oriented. So
Yeah.
how do we then like stop this cycle from repeating itself if we're not gonna do anything different? Because like I don't think any of us wants male sons to grow up just being fucking rocks and bricks and not knowing anything
Yeah,
about
no,
life.
Yeah.
100%. No, you're right. Because we know it, but it's hard to really then implement it because, like, that's not you. You're only who you are. And, like, again, I feel like if you're then new to it, it's going to be very hard to then be able to draw a line. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Weekends, bro. I think men need to use their weekends more on their kids, bro. I will look. When you talk about where we grew up and shit, but a lot of my
Would
friends
that help
that
from an
grew up,
emotional perspective, though?
yeah, I do think it will, because I feel like what a lot of us have is you have fuck. It's always fucked up like calling out shit like this, but it is what it is. You
No, go
have
on.
a lot of fathers, right, that
Mm-hmm.
spend their weeks going to work. They
I
leave
think I'm
early in
calling
the
out his
week.
dad.
Yeah, relax. Yes. Yeah, it's not my dad. It's talking about dads in general. From what I've
Uh-huh.
seen, it's not everyone anyway. But yeah, you have a lot of it's just, you have a lot of dads that they go to work early, they come back late, so they don't
Mm-hmm.
really
Yeah, facts.
spend much time with their kids during the week.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it comes to weekends, um, I feel like they could do a lot more bonding with their kids, even if it's going to the park or going for a walk, taking them swimming or
No,
whatever it is,
okay.
though, just like spending time with them and getting to
Yeah.
know them. Because let's be real, as a fucking 45-year-old, you're gonna see whatever problems a 5-year-old is dealing with well before they even know that like that age gap is just mad. Like you
Yeah,
just see it
100%. Yeah,
before
yeah,
they
yeah.
ever see it. So they don't always have to tell you this is what's going on with me. Sometimes you can just sense it. But if you're not spending time with them, you'll never see it. And then they're gonna grow up and you don't really know them or understand them properly. And then how do you then build a relationship with someone that
Do you
you
know,
really
I
know?
agree with you though, but I'm just not seeing it from the emotional perspective side. Like I
So
agree
you
with
don't
you
think
in terms of like spending
relationships
time with your kid.
okay, let me put it in a different way for you then. If
Mm-hmm.
you're spending more time with your parents as a child,
Mm-hmm.
as you grow up, you're more comfortable talking to them because you feel like you have a relationship with them and a bond with
Yeah,
them,
100%.
Yeah. That's facts.
which a lot of Nigerian parents don't necessarily do with their kids. So
Mm.
if I'm going through something as a teenager in a Nigerian household without that relationship with my dad, I'm never going
Mm.
to go to him and be like, "Yo, dad, this is
Yeah.
what I'm doing."
Or
Kind
This
of
is
would you
what
have
thing.
gone
I'm
to your
going
mom
through.
though?
You're more likely to. I feel like
Okay, you're more
you're more
likely
likely.
to. Okay,
But like I
first,
said,
first, first,
the way
yeah.
your mom is gonna advise you as a man may not be
Mm.
the same as the way your dad is gonna advise you as a man.
This
So
is true.
unless
Yeah.
yeah, so unless fathers actually do take the time to build that relationship from when kids are young, I don't really see this ever changing. Like it's just gonna repeat itself.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good
Facts.
point. Yeah, that's first, first. As a father, though, you have to start that from early, to be
From
honest,
early,
because
bro.
like yeah, from
As you
early,
should
from
as
early.
well, because it's a fucking child.
Yeah. Because that's facts, though. Like you said, like most of, I mean, I can't speak for everybody here, but like at least for me, like Popsy was like at work pretty much the whole day, like
Yeah.
7 a.m. to like night. You know what I'm saying?
Nine, literally
Mm-hmm.
seven to
Yeah.
nine,
So
bro.
if exactly, so if he had now come on the weekend, let's go to the park. Like I would feel weird. I'm like, but no, is mommy coming? You know what I'm saying? Like so stuff like that. So like,
Facts.
face. Good
Like I
point,
see
man.
my brother doing it to be fair, which is so he spends time with his kid during the weekends a lot because like I said, he's at work during the week. So during weekends is like one time to do it. And you can see the effort he's putting into doing it and then the like gratification it gives him for doing it. I'm just like, yo, that's actually pretty dope because a lot of dads, a lot of our dads anyway, older generation, they don't really take the time to do things like that. Some do obviously, but we're just talking general.
Mm.
So it's just cool actually seeing like yoga is actually taking the time.
Yeah, no, first. I think that's a good start for sure. I mean, I don't, I'm still struggling to see if it will be like the fix all per se, but like I think it's a good start. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
something. think it's a good balance too, because you're still going to be gone for most of the week. First, yeah, first.
It's hard to control that bit because you have to make the money regardless. So
Yep.
Mm.
it's hard to control what you do during your weeks, but weekends. I, what was it that I was seeing? Something about parents showing up for like award shows or something, and they were like, "What the fuck is your dad have to show up for an award show?" Like my dad never showed up for an award show in primary school. I think it was on Twitter somewhere, and he
Yeah, it
missed
was
a
Twitter.
primary school graduation and a middle
Yeah.
school graduation.
I mean, to be
Son
honest,
of
they're
a
usually in the middle of the week though. I was like,
No, guy. I'm talking even the ones on weekends, bro. Like they're just like, what are you doing? They're just chilling at home doing nothing while your mom went and they're like, why couldn't you come? Like no, like seriously, realistically, what could you doing? Like you can show up and just not
if it's a weekend
like,
and it's just at home doing nothing, they're like, okay, then yeah, bro, just show up. Yeah, facts. First.
did your dad come for your secondary school graduation?
Nah, man. Nah. But that was in the middle of the week though, so I was like mad at it though.
Was
It
it
wasn't on the
really?
weekend. No, it wasn't on the weekend. It was like on a Friday. Yeah. Did your
I mean
dad go for
Fridays are
yours?
kind of no, you did it, bro.
He did it, Rose. Rose.
Yeah,
Sherik Kamal said that his dad only came to school once now.
yeah, my secondary school, he didn't come. He came. Yeah, I think he came once. Yeah,
That's
he
mad,
came.
because like he's pumping school fees into something he hasn't even seen. But that's the same thing as my dad,
Like,
yeah.
like I said, it's they view their roles differently. To them, yeah. I mean that's a long conversation, but yeah, they just view their roles differently.
So your boss didn't come for your grad. Rose, did yours go?
Secondary school now. I didn't
Yeah.
come. Wasn't
And
I
this is
think it
not
was in
uncommon between
Lagos at the
Nigeria
time,
and
yeah.
facts.
That's what I'm saying. Like this just is what it is.
It's not uncommon.
Nigeria.
This way is facts.
Like my brother told me when he went for his kid's nursery school grad or whatever it was, he was the only guy there. Like all of them
Raw.
are mom. Yeah, he was.
Damn.
So this is in the
Double
UK. So
homicide.
yeah, like he was the only father there. So that just tells you how shit
I
goes,
mean, for
man.
nursery school, though, actually, let me know.
I mean, but that's the thing to the kid at that point. He's like, "Where's daddy?" You know.
What,
He was
Yeah.
nursery
just gonna,
school?
Why
What, are they like
daddy?
4 years old?
watch
They
it.
ain't gonna remember
I
nothing.
remember what the tweet was. It wasn't even a watch show. It was like if they're doing like a performance, let's say he's in dance society or whatever, or like doing a play or some shit. And
Mm.
was Akon, yeah. It was Akon that fucking had an interview. And he said, like, why is he showing up to his fucking kid recital or some shit? Like, that's not his job.
Mm.
He's paying the bills. Like, he doesn't have to show up for shit like that. And then there were people in the comments that were like, but to the child, he's gonna remember when he was looking for dad and dad wasn't there. And actually, it's kind of true
Yes.
because they do remember.
Yeah,
So
you do. No, you definitely do remember. I think parents underestimate, like, you remember that shit for sure.
you
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Just put more effort into things like that.
Cool. Let's wrap up. Hey, yo! It's been your boys on the fucking Parrotside podcast, man. Hey, y'all know what it is. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram. Today's been a vibe, man. I actually enjoyed today. No lie. This is good. This was a good conversation. Yeah, man. And for those listening, yeah, take some lessons, learn. We spitting. And I say shout out the whole team, man.
Facts.
Nigga giving himself credit, bro.
I said we spit. We all spit. Shout out the whole team, man. Catch us on the next one, man. Peace.
Yeah, the usual. Follow us on Twitter, or you can send us an email at theparrotside@gmail.com.
Peace.
Yeah, peace out. And shout out Yaz.
Yeah, shout out, yes.
You-